Buenas noches, don Mario.
Buenas noches, ¿qué tal?
Bien, ¿cómo te me estás portando?
Más o menos.
¿Por qué más o menos?
Soy,
Azoid Gates,
soy Gates. ¿Cómo está?
aquí dándole, como dicen en mi tierra.
Ujú.
La verdad, bien, no me puedo quejar.
En Uruguay dicen aquí me ando.
Así es, aquí me ando, no me puedo quejar.
That's
Y la
good.
verdad es que, por la gracia de Dios, todo en orden. Tenemos bien.
Y no sirve de nada quejarse,
No,
para nada.
yep, así es. Nadie
Ujú.
nos hace caso.
No.
Sí, así es, amigo.
Yep.
Ah, qué bueno. Hoy tenemos también Navi, ¿verdad? Después a las 8.
Bien.
Voy a tratar de hacerlo también para
Ok.
estar, para eso. Eh, Tú sabes, esta hora es difícil. Ahorita el templo está buscando tener minyan en
Sí.
el North Beverly Hills. Y ahorita los estoy pregando porque estoy aquí con ustedes.
Ok.
¿Tú regresas de vez en cuando a Sudamérica o ya no, Mario?
Me voy a ir este año
¿De veras?
entre, entre recesiones y los primeros días de soccer. So, no voy a estar acá para
¿Y eso por qué?
porque mi única prima hermana, cumple 80 y no fui al cumpleaños de ella de 70 y quedó realmente muy molesta.
Mm,
Y le digo la verdad, no sé cuánto tiempo más voy a ir. Quiero ir a Buenos Aires también a la tumba de mi papá, que no la visito ya hace como 15 años.
no, yo trato, eso es lo que yo, a la razón que yo voy a Guatemala.
Sí,
Voy para poder ir a ver a las tumbas
yeah. So,
y trato de no dejar ir más de año, año y medio.
bueno, pero Guatemala está cerca de acá.
Es cierto,
Uruguay y Argentina tan lejos.
cierto.
So, me voy a ir por unos 9 días.
Que lo goces y que todo te salga lindo.
Gracias, gracias.
¿Cuándo vas, Mario?
¿Eh?
¿Cuándo vas?
Me voy,
Entre Rosh Hashanah y los dos primeros días de
no, el
Sukkot,
pasado los 2 primeros días
días de Rosh Hashanah.
de Sukkot.
¿Ah?
Me voy el 28 de septiembre y vuelvo el 9 de octubre.
¿So vas a estar Yom Kippur y Rosh Hashanah y Sukkot ahí?
Ujú.
Ajá. Ok.
Voy al primero por un día a Buenos Aires, a la ida, y después a Montevideo.
Ajá.
So,
Muy bien. ¿Ana va también o solo vos?
no, no, porque está dicho acá, va a estar dicho.
Oh, Icho viene también, esta vez.
Sí, esta viene por 6 semanas.
¿Cuánto? ¿6 semanas se va a estar? Jeez.
Llega el 18 y se va el 21, creo.
Oh.
Good evening, everybody.
¿Sí?
Okay, we are on Hey Amid Bays.
Ernie,
Yes, Johnny.
just so you know, Minchi is 6:55, so we're gonna have to move it up from now on.
Okay. Okay, fine.
You know, like maybe 6 or 6:15.
Maybe 6.
Yeah.
We've done it at 6. Tani Rab Shimon Oimer, Ma Tamud Loimar Ufar Sheni Ben Bakar Tikach Lechatat. This is when the Levium, after the Cheta Egel, to be mitayar them, that they have to bring a second par.
Excuse me, hey at the bottom?
Hey on the bottom. Hey on the base.
Yeah, okay. How many lines?
Tanya, Rab Shimon Oimer, 2 lines, 3 lines.
Okay.
In the Lamed Shehem Shnayim, Valok Vanemar Vaseta Chad Chatat Vedechadul Hashem. There's already 2 pars, one for a chatas and one for an ola. I might think that the chatas that's being brought for Levium, normally the Kohanim eat that chatas. Talmud Lomer upar sheni la ola. That means it has to be like the ola. Ma ola lo necheles, av chatas lo necheles. So just like an ola is consumed completely and is not eaten, the chatas that were brought for the Levium at that time were also not eaten. Kiyotzabam Rabbi Yossi similarly says that when the people came back with Ezra Sofer, God willing, we will learn this in a few months. It says, Abaim Ashvei Bnei Agola Yikrivu Olos Lelokei Yisrael, that the people came back from Bavel, they offered korbanos, Parim Shnei Masar, 12 Parim, Elim Tishim V'Shisha, 96 rams, Kvasim Shivim V'Shiva, 77 kvasim, Tzfirei Chatas Shnei Masar Kol Oila, 12 Chatas birds. So the Gemara says, what do you mean, Kol Oila? They're not all Oila. After Chatas Oila, Chatas is a Chatas, it's not an Oila. Ella, Hakol Ka'oila. All those korbanos were treated like an Oila. Ma Oila lo necheles, av Chatas zu lo necheles. That Chatas wasn't eaten either. The Tanya. Rav Yehuda Omer al Avodah Zarah Heviu. That these people came back from Bavel, it's because they worshipped Avodah Zarah. Vam Rav Yehuda Shmuel. Al Avodah Zarah she'otzu b'meit tzidkiyo. It's the Avodah Zarah that they did when they were already 70 years before by tzidkiyo. Bishmal Rabbi Yehuda. I understand 12. Mishkachas alani shnei masar chatos. Kigon shechatu shnei masar shvatim. Maybe the 12 shvatim. So we learned according to Rabbi Yehuda, each shevet brings its own par. So you have 12. The ma'isku shnei masar seiri. Or inami chatu shiva shvatim. Remember we learned that if 7 out of the 12 shvatim do the sin, she'ercha in chabigrera, the other 5 are nigrar along, and they have to bring, so you'd also have 12. Rav Shimon nami ishkachas. So Rav Shimon was the one who said that the shvatim bring and Bezdin brings. Kigon shechatu echadasar shvatim. 11 of the tribes sinned. The ma'aser echadasar seirim v'idich shel Bezdin. 11 plus 1 is 12. Ela Rav Meir, the Omar Bezdin Mevi'in v'lo tzibur. Rav Meir was the shita that only the Bezdin brings it. Shnei masrechi mishkachaslai. Where are we getting 12 korbanos? Answers the Gemara, Kigon shechatu v'hadar chatu v'hadar chatu. Atraces in it. They sin 12 different times. For the Gemara v'maisalu hanu, they all died. Shechatu. Those that worship the Avodah Zarah b'meit tzidkiyo, they're not alive anymore. It's 70 years ago. How could their sons bring a chatas for their fathers? The din is if a chatas, the mesu balea, it's not offered. On Rav Papa, ki gmiri chatas shemesu balea b'misa hani mila b'yachid. That's a korban chatas that's brought by a yachid. Then if that person dies, it's never brought. Aval, a chatas that belongs to the tzibur, lo, b'tzibur, lefi she'ein misa b'tzibur. The tzibur cannot die. The tzibur netzach Yisrael lo yishaker. Menale l'Rav Papa ha. Where does Rav Papa get this concept? Ilem v'chsiv tachas avosecha yuvanecha. Underneath your fathers will be the sons. and it'll be as if the others are still around. Well, why would that only work by Korban Tzibur? Ella, Dukid Rav Papa Mesor Shel Rosh Chodesh. The sorry that is offered on Rosh Chodesh. Amrachmona Maisi Mitrumas Alishka. The Machzis a shekel that everyone donates, so that Korban was bought from the Trumas Alishka. However, Hamaisiluhu Israel. In the meantime, people have died from Chodesh Adar until they were Makravit. So Hanach the Faishechi Maisi. The ones that are left, how can they bring a Korban Chatas? The Bailim of that Korban have died. Only the din that a Chatas Shemetzu Balea goes Lamisa, that's by a Korban Yochid. By a Korban Sibor, it doesn't, you can offer it. Sorry, Rosh Chodesh, Dimaloy Maisi Mitzibor, maybe you could say that a month ago people donated the Machzis a shekel, maybe nobody died in the interim.
Yep, there's one.
But
1
70
second.
years, but 70 years can't go by, and they all died. When a corpse is found between two cities, and they measure who's the closest city has to bring an Egla Rufa, the decapitated Egel. Part of the vidui there is Kaper Lamcha Yisrael Asher Padisa Hashem. We're asking for kapara. Rui kapara zut kapal yotz Mitzrayim. This kapara is so powerful that it can be mechaper on those that left Mitzrayim. Midchliv Asher Padisa. And even though the Yotze Mitzrayim have died a long time ago. So the Gemara says, Midam Yihosam Kulu Isnun. That the people that are involved in the corpse now are around. Migu de mechaper achayim, mechaper nami amesim. So we could say migu. Just like there's atonement for those that are alive, there's atonement for those that have died. But here, when the exiles came back from Bavel back to Shalayim, nobody was alive. Were they alive? The Gemara says, Einachanami, they were alive. There were many people alive, even though 70 years had gone by. T'chsiv. V'rabim me'akohanim v'alvi'im, many of the Kohanim and Levim, Roshei ha'avos, haskenim asher ra'u et habayit harishon, biyazdo ze habayit beinehem, boichim b'kol gadol v'rabim, b'trua b'simcha larim kol. The old Kohanim that remembered the beauty and the splendor of Bayis Rishon, they cried because Bayis Sheni was so much smaller. Maybe it's only a minority of the people that were still alive. So the Gemara says, "Aksiv lo ikir b'kol ve'nam kim b'kol truas hasimcha l'kol b'chi ha'am ki ha'am miriim tru g'doyle v'akol nishmad l'merachok." There were so many people, the voices were heard from very far away. Now the Gemara asks another question: how can they have kapara of Hamizit Navu? When they worshipped Avodah Zarah at the time of Tzidkiyah, they didn't do it b'shoigig, they did it b'mezid. You can't bring a korban for that. So the Gemara says, it was a psak for that generation. What is this? Elim Tishim V'Shisha. We said there were 96 rams. And Kvasim Shivim V'Shiva, 77 Kvasim. Keneged me, what is that? Elohai Roshai. So it's Elohai Roshai. Chanami Roshai. Ton Rabbana. If the tzibur made an aveira based on an erroneous psak of Bezdin, and meis echad ben tzibur chayovim, they still have to bring the korban. But echad ben Bezdin p'turim. If one of the Bezdin dies, then there's no korban. Man Tana on Rav Chizra, Rav Zerem, Rav Yirmiyah, Rav Meir. The Amar Bezdin Mevian V'lo Tzibur. He's of the Shita that only Bezdin brings. Hilkach meis echad ben tzibur chayov. Only if the tzibur dies, because the whole bezin is there. But meis echad bebezin peturim davelech chatas shemeis echad benashutofim. Let's say there are two partners that are bringing a chatas together as partners, and one of them dies, so you don't offer it. Mishum hachi peturim. So if one of the bezin that made the psak dies, the bezin that is potter from the korban. Maskil Rav Yosef, the nukmak Rav Shimon domer based in imat zibur. Rav Shimon was the one who said that the shevet and bezdin brings it, and therefore meis echad benat zibur chayov. If one of the tzibur dies, they still have to bring, because there is no concept of misa by tzibur, shein tzibur mesim. Meis echad bebezdin peturim. Kidamrinan shechatas shutofim hi. Armelei abai shaminan lei, the Rav Shimon de Omar chatas shutofim eina mesa. It doesn't work, because we have heard somewhere else that Rav Shimon holds that chatas belonging to a partnership, even if one of them dies, you can still offer it. The Tanya, par v'sar shalom Yom Kippurim she'avdu. You have the par and the goat of Yom Kippur that got lost. V'hifrish acherim tachteim. So they designated two replacements, and then the originals were found. Yemusu kulon. They all are put to death. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Lez Rabbi Shimon oimrim yiru. The group that was found, lefi, that you can put them to pasture until they get a mun. Lefi shein chatas tzibur mesa. There is no concept of misa by a chatas tzibur, and a par Yom Kippurim is the par that belongs to kohanim. It's like shutafim, and we don't treat it like a par shemesu balav. Amle Rav Yosef kohanim ka'amrit. You ask me a kasha by kohanim? Shiny kohanim dikri kol. Kohanim are also called kol. D'chsiv ala kohanim v'kol am ha'kahal yichaper. Ele me'ato nesi par boy ra. So why wouldn't this group of kohanim bring a par in a mistaken psak by bezdin, just like a regular shevet? V'chite mochanami, then tfulu shvatim. Then we end up with 13 shvatim. That can't be. We only have 12. Elam Rav Achab Rav Yaakov, shivto shel Levi lo ikru kol. Levi's shevet, including the kohanim, were not called kol. T'chsiv, hineni mafrecha vir bisicha, unesaticha lekalamim, v'nosati es haaretz hazos l'rachachrecha zasolom. Kol sheish lachuza ikri kol. Shevet that had a stake and Yerusha in Eretz Yisrael, you call them a kol. Kol she'ein lo achuza lo ikri kol. But if it's not, and kohanim don't have a stake, therefore they're no kol. Im kein chasru lu shnei masar shvatim. Without Levi, you only have 11. Amar Abaye, Ephraim Umnasha Kiruven v'Shimon Yuli. So they're counted as 2. Amar Rava Aksiv Al Shem Achehem Yikru b'Nachla Son Nachla Hukshuv Lo Davar Acher. That they were only given the right to have Nachla. Who says V'lo? I'll show that they were. V'Hachalukim b'Degolim. When we have 12 flags in the cabinet of Klai Yisrael in the Midbar, there were 12. Ephraim and Manasseh each had a flag. So Kenachlason Kachaniyoson. If you got a Nachla, you got a campment. Kedei L'chalei covered with the gold. When they offered each Nasi, Ephraim and Manasseh had their own Nasi. So Hahu L'chalei covered l'Nesiim, but it's not that they're their own shape. The Tanya. Shlomo also Shiva Yimei Chanukah. Shlomo Melech made a 7-day dedication for the Beis Hamikdash. Umoro Moshe Lasso Shteimasar Yimei Chanukah. Why did Moshe make 12? Kedei lachlo kavod l'Nesiim. He wanted to give special honor to the Nesiim. My Havi Allah. So what do we say about this psak of Rab Shimon about Shutafim? My Havi Allah. Toshma the time Rab Shimon Oimer. Chamesh chatois mesois. There are 5 categories of chatas, which you have to put the animal to death because you can't mock with them. So, for example, if you have a female chatas that gives birth, vlad chatas, that vlad is put to death. Tmuras chatas. You make a tmura. You point to that to the chatas, and you say, I want to make a tmura to that animal. And the tmuras chatas is also put to death. Ve chatas shemesu baleh. Somebody designates a chatas, then dies. Those three types of chatas are put to death. And chatas niskapru baleh. Somebody designated an animal to be a chatas. He lost it. And then he designates another animal, and then he offers the second animal, and then he finds the first animal. That's called a chatas niskapru baleh. Such a chatas is put to death. The chatas sha'avrish nasa. The chatas has to be less than a year old. If it becomes more than a year old, it's put to death. There is no such thing as vlad chatas by tzibur. Shein tzibur mafrish in the keva. The tzibur always separates a chatas which is a male, so you can't have a fetus. You cannot make a tmura from a korban tzibur. There is no concept. For example, Chaim Yankel designates a chatas, and he dies, Chaim Yankel, so the chatas goes lemisa. But if the tzibur designates a chatas, the tzibur cannot die. She'ain tzibur mesim. Now, sheniskapru balev v'sha'avar shnasa lo shamanu. Now, by the tzibur, what if they got lost and you offered another one, or got old, or you put them to death? Amrit. Yilmod sasum and amafurish. Those two, we don't know the din. But we know the din on the other three. It only applies to a korban yachid, not a korban tzibur. So there is no concept of niskapru baleh and avrish nasa by the tzibur. So just like we don't have the din that a chatas of a shutaf, same thing. It shouldn't be put to death. There are some things that in the Metzias the tzibur can't be, because you can't have the death of the tzibur. But the other things, which it could work, so Rabbi Shimon b'chad malkam gomer. All the dinei chatas hamesus was given as one halacha. And if you can't be mekayim all of it, the five, then the other ones that don't apply would not apply. Okay, we'll stop here.
Okay.
We'll start the new parak tomorrow.
What time then?
So,
6:15?
Make it at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Want to do 6:15? Let's do 6:15 because I don't. Mincha might. We have a plug mincha at Yavna, so it might interfere. So let's do it at 6:15.
okay, that should do it.
See you tonight, 8 o'clock, Navi Shir.
Yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead.
good night.